Tagged as the last bastion of Catholicism in Asia, with more than 80 million Filipinos adhering to the teachings of Christianity, the Philippines is the only country in the world without a divorce law after Malta legalized it through a referendum in 2011. In fact, from 1999 to 2011, 6 bills were already filed introducing and legalizing divorce in the Philippines. Almost 15 years after the bill was filed, there was still no trace that this bill will be approved anytime soon. Divorce is defined as formally dissolving a legal marriage. Marriage, according to the Family Code of the Philippines, is a special contract of permanent union between a man and a woman entered into in accordance with the law for the establishment of conjugal and family life. Historically, divorce had been part of our legal system. It was only in 1950, when the new civil code took effect, that divorce was disallowed under Philippine law. Only legal separation was available. President Aquino, in the beginning of his term, was even quoted as saying a big no-no to divorce, but agreed to marrying again of people who are legally separated. Now that different groups, many of which are women's rights advocates, renew calls for the filing and passage of a progressive divorce law.
Wow! Sa hinahanap na serbisyo ng ating mga kababayan po sa maratang tagalungsod po.
Pro-marriage and pro-life groups believe that divorce is not the answer to problems between couples. Welcome to Opposing Views, a hard, straightforward discussion of today's most pressing issues. Together, in celebrating Women's Month, we try to discuss an issue that involves women and marriage. Freedom is something we all want, and for divorce advocates, to be free from an unhappy marriage is to allow citizens to form lives of their own. But the road to legalizing divorce in the Philippines is coming to a crossroads between its supposed breaking down of society's morality and everyone's right to choose what's best for him or herself. So we ask tonight, should divorce be legalized in the Philippines? Good evening, I'm Rod Nepomuceno, and this is Opposing Views. Joining us tonight in our discussion is Representative Emmy De Jesus of the Gabriela Party List. Good evening, Congresswoman Emmy.
Good evening, Attorney Rod.
Yes, can you give us a quick summary of your position with regards to the issue of divorce?
For us, recognizing that there are bases for women mostly, and also men, who are into an irreparable relationship, there should be another remedy. Because at this point in time in our law, we have the legal separation, we have the declaration of nullity of marriage, and we have the annulment. And introducing another remedy, which is more in recognition of the changes in a relationship while in marriage, I think can be another option for those who want to get out of an irreparable relationship.
Okay, thank you very much, Congresswoman Emmy. And with us also is a family lawyer, Attorney James Imbong. Attorney James, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, could you give us your 2 cents worth on this issue?
Yes. Well, there are many things that we copy from other countries, particularly with regard to things that will benefit our society. So we have technology and all this. But the topic for tonight, fortunately, this involves not only words or legal terms. This involves an experiment used by other countries already, supposedly to fix something that is wrong. But what the other side will not tell you is that we are the only country, or maybe one of the few, which does not have any divorce law in the strictest sense, mainly because we know that the experience of other countries, this legislation or this policy results in the destruction of the family. Next to, not to mention, the destruction of the marriage itself, because divorce dissolves and ends a marriage. No?
Now, okay, let's start off our discussion with this question regarding marriage itself. Is marriage sacred? I know the Constitution says marriage, the state recognizes the sanctity of marriage, but maybe we should start our discussion on that note. No? Is marriage sacred? You first, Attorney Mo.
Yes, Attorney. Even before the church instituted the sacrament, I'm not a priest, no, but I know that even before the church instituted the sacrament of marriage, which our state recognizes, by the way, okay, marriage has been going on in some certain form, whatever the ceremony is. So the church merely raised that event, that human relation to a level of a sacrament, simply because there is a spiritual worth, okay, in the aspect of that relation. Now,
beyond the social
the practical
worth,
and
no?
social. No?
Yeah.
Why am I saying that? So that we can disengage ourselves from this, because I'm sure there will be many questions about why is the church against it and all this. But you will be surprised, no, that we can raise this debate without even talking about theology or religion, because the facts will state alone will show, and I will be just very quick, that the only benefit that the divorce brings to a family, or even if there are no children yet, is that the marriage bond is separated. That is it. In fact, there are statistics that the people who remarry after divorcing, these are the ones who pass on whatever stigma they have. So it's as if similar to, let's say, the psychological incapacity.
So it's perpetuated, you're saying, that parang after they get divorced, it goes on? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, and this is not only with regard to the new spouse or the old spouse, but imagine the effects it has on children.
All right.
Such that, there have been studies, Attorney, in order to determine the rate of juvenile delinquency. And you know what juvenile delinquency is? Under 18,
Yes.
minors getting into trouble. You know what they look into now? They look at the divorce rate of that state. So if the divorce rate is high,
So there's
99.9% the correlation
there's a correlation.
is there are more juvenile delinquents.
All right. Okay, so Ma'am Congresswoman Emmy, we'll start off this discussion regarding this. Let's start off with the aspect of, or the claim that that marriage is sacred. Do you think that marriage is sacred and therefore should not be dissolved?
I think I should again reiterate, we should define what is sacred. No? There should be a context, meaning at this point in time, there are a lot of relationships that are broken because of the economic, political, and cultural situations they are into. So, and one thing also that I would like to put forward is marriage is your right to enter into a contract. And for us, we recognize that if you have the right to enter into a contract, there should be a responsibility, there should be definition of what should be the factors in that relationship. And should there be violations of those bases for a relationship, you should have a way of getting out of that relationship, and getting out should not be easy. That's why the right to get out of that contract should be well studied, and recognizing also our culture of how we uphold family. It shouldn't be easy.
So you still agree it's sacred, it's a sacred institution, and therefore
until all the factors that are needed in a healthy, honest, respectful relationship. For me, that defines sanctity. It's not, you just label it as marriage sacred. It's a contract.
So what you're saying, if one party is violating the obligations and the duties within that sacred, relationship, then it no longer becomes sacred. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it is. Because by sanctity, you should recognize the factors that define it. You just don't label things without recognizing realities, especially now. We have so many families, especially OFW families, who were forced to, mothers or fathers who were forced to get out of the country because of the problem of unemployment, and they've been there for like more than 5 years. What family are we talking about? Or unemployed parents of children who are forced to do child labor. These are already existing. So issues of abusive relationships, especially in our culture, that the perpetuation also of dominance of men over women is still the dominant culture. Gabriela, really, in our experience, these are realities. These are realities. So we define this legal remedy, which we are about to refile, by the way, as another remedy.
It's another option. Another option, at
another
least.
option, because the existing ones can still be used. And if you are happily married, if you don't have anything against your partner, you have this sanctity of the marriage, why avail of divorce?
All right.
It's something that
So it's another option. Now, okay, there are people who argue, all right, people who argue that on the basis of morality. They're saying that if we allow divorce, it will be tantamount to the moral breakdown of the Philippines. Your thoughts, Attorney?
Yes, Attorney. Let me be clear. No, I'm sure when these surveys or these studies mention about morality, we're talking about secular morality. For example, murder. That's a law. Okay, whatever your religion is, if you kill someone, so we're talking about secular morality here. And what is that? Why is it important to distinguish between secular morality and religious morality? When you say religious morality, you may cite encyclicals, readings of the Pope, or let's say. But with regard to secular morality, we're talking about the natural foundations of relationships. So, for example, where will I get the role model example of a father or a brother? Say for a father, it will be from my father. Of course, we have extended families. Our culture is there, no? But at the end of the day, the daughter gets the example of the mother, no? And remember, the institution of marriage doesn't matter where you live. It's the institution of marriage that sets the foundation for all the values that the children are supposed to learn. That's why they say a home is where the family is. Doesn't matter where you live.
That is
where the
why.
family is. So you break. Yeah, you can live in a really large house with 5 rooms, but if there's no family to live in, your father, you live with your stepfather, stepmother, or your grandparent, automatically, and the studies show, no, the deficiency caused to the upbringing of the children. And when I say children, I'm not just talking about 5 or 6 year olds. I'm even talking about the mature ones who can already think. And when they say, I'm ready to get into a relationship, but I have nothing in the bank to know how I would commit because my father and my mother are divorcees. So what do? Well, unfortunately, they turn to media. And what do we see in media now? You see the movies, it's normal to have a divorce.
Right.
So my point is this. There's no other safe haven for those values, secular moral values.
Secular or religious, di ba?
Yeah, either. To get it other than from that institution.
Okay, ma'am. The argument is that it will lead to the moral breakdown, and statistics show it. Your thoughts?
Actually, these are ideal situations, and in fact, we also are advocates of an ideal family, meaning mother, father, and the children are living harmoniously. But again, there are now economic and social situations that force families to have real problems, no? So there are fathers who are abusive against their mothers, and when children see this, and as you mentioned, no, the role models of these children, either for women, the mothers, or for the boys, the fathers, if they see how violent the father is, or how
bad the relationship
is, I think that's for us, that's corrosion of values.
You think that's a worse moral breakdown when children see their parents fighting?
Definitely it is.
And that's why you're espousing divorce, so that they don't have to see this.
Actually, if, again, I would like to reiterate, there are reasons why you have to get out of a relationship. So, and our bill or our proposal is to make sure that the court will see through all the reasons, all the basis,
All the justifications for divorce, yeah.
why you
All right.
have to avail of this law.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, ma'am, but we need to take a short break. Meanwhile, join the discussions online. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/solaropposingviews. Follow us also on Twitter at opposing_views. Use the hashtag OVDivorce. More on the issue of divorce when Opposing Views returns. We'll be right back.
Pabor ako. Siyempre, para mapagbigyan yung dapat na, yung kailangan niya, di ba? Para maluwag din siya.
Kung halimbawa yung isang babae is na-stuck siya sa relationship kung saan yung husband niya is ina-abuse siya or yun nga hindi na rin siya nagbe-benefit. Of course, bilang isang babae, kailangan niyang umalis sa relationship na yun. Kasi papayag ka ba na ikaw is kinakawawa ka or under ka? Lalo na ngayon na panahon na ng women empowerment.
Mas maganda yun, magkaroon ng divorce sa Pilipinas. Kung mag-asawang kasal, naghihiwalay, mas okay ako, pabor ako doon.
Well, for me, no. Because marriage is a contract na contract yan kay God. So, bakit may break yung contract mo kay God kapag nag-promise ka na hindi mo hiwalayan yung person that you love?
I think so, yes. Because it's easier if annulment will lead there naman to breaking up or to separate, and then why not?
There are a lot of women kasi na parang naging parang sasaktan ng husband nila, then wala silang way na para magwalay.
Sa tingin ko po kasi yung cultural values ng mga Filipinos are not ready. Kumbaga, yun nga lang pong annulment, hindi nila mai-push talaga as in yung true essence nito, yung pakayang divorce. Isang factor pa po siguro bukod sa cultural or yung religious belief ng mga Filipino, siguro po sa terms ng legislation. More or less po kasi 'di ba yung mga legislators natin, specifically sa Congress and Senate, dominant pa rin yung mga boys doon. Sa divorce po, di ba, more or less, ang mga boys, medyo sila yung nakukuhanan talaga ng pera dito kasi obliged sila na magbigay sa mga family nila, sa kids nila. Kasi pag hindi sila nagbigay, pwede sila makulong or pwede sila mapenaltihan.
Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views. Still with us, Representative Emmy De Jesus of the Gabriela Party List and Attorney James Imbong. And our question for tonight, should divorce be legalized in the Philippines? Now, let's talk about the Constitution and the constitutionality of divorce. Attorney James, can you shed light on this, whether you think a divorce bill would run conflict with the Constitution? Because the Constitution does provide that marriage is considered sacred and that the state will protect the family,
First of all, the essence of a divorce, it will separate the husband and wife. It will dissolve their marriage. Okay. Now we go to the other aspect of the Constitution. What does the Constitution says? And our host said it very clearly that our Constitution uses the words marriage is an inviolable social institution. And not just that, it is the foundation of the nation. So no matter how much you try to go around these words, the question here is, how can separating the marriage bond very easily, why do I mention very easily? Because we have legal separation, we have annulment and psychological incapacity, and the grounds for these are very different from the one that is presented in the current bill. I'm not sure if there's a current bill. So the point here is, until they can justify that, how can making it easy for couples to separate, how does that preserve the family when the foundation of the family is the marriage?
All right,
you destroy the marriage.
Well,
marriage should be protected.
Yeah, in the 1988 Constitution, it doesn't mention any prohibition that Congress cannot pass any amendment to the Family Code. And in fact, the bill is an amendment to the Family Code. So I think it's constitutional. So in fact, we have the legal separation law, we have the annulment, and if you again use the words this will break the family, whatever, you know, on the issue of morality, I think those two existing remedies are there already. So this one is
It's just
an
an additional one.
remedy that can be availed of. And when you say the nation is built on the solidity of the family, again, if the family is solid, then go
Then that's
on
fine.
with the solid family. But if a family is breaking down, there should be a remedy. And the lawmakers should also be aware of this situation. That's why we again, in Gabriela, listening to the issues, no, especially from women who are into abusive marriages, and consulting also other lawyers, we deem it necessary that this should be given a time in our legislation.
Congresswoman, do you think, we all know that the Catholic Church wields an important influence in our daily lives, no? Whether it's in politics
Yeah,
or...
it
Do you
is.
think that if, without the Catholic Church, do you feel that a divorce would have been already legalized at this point?
Well, we have a long history of recognizing, culturally, no? We really uphold a good marriage. We really uphold for that matter, any marriage. I don't think even without the influence of Catholic Church, it will take time. That's why for us, filing a bill on this will raise the consciousness and awareness of our people on issues of what should a marriage be, what a healthy marriage should be, and should this marriage reach its breakdown, there should be remedies, and this should be recognized.
Attorney Imbong, do you think the Catholic Church, without the Catholic Church, you think it would have been already, divorce would have already been legalized? Or do you think that it's just innate? We are the only country right now, no? And together with the Vatican City, the only country that's still resisting divorce. You think that without the Catholic Church, you think the divorce would have been legalized?
Attorney, the position of the Catholic Church or Christian denominations, some also know, just gives extra weight to the value of the debate. But even if you don't talk about the sacred or we have the benefit now of the internet, you know, and you just go home. You can Google. Can I say that? You can search, no? The words divorce effect. Don't even add Asia or Europe. Look what will come
Effect
out
of divorce.
Yeah. And what I'm saying is we are fortunate that this is not a new policy. Okay, we're doing this simply, as you said, we're the only country that doesn't have it aside from the Vatican. So what would we naturally do when we research? You don't have to be a lawyer, a doctor, a psychologist. Then you have to look. When we buy a cell phone, we ask our friends, what does this do? So we ask, what has divorce done to other countries? And I will not mention it here, but you can look at it on your own. The effects on the children, even in society, the economic viability of society, wherein there are two parents earning as compared to one single mother. So I'm not judging on the let's say on the moral aspect already, because we can reserve that. But just on the practical and economic and sociological.
But do you think though that the church should be meddling on this topic, this issue? Do you think do you think they should be involved?
Yeah, and the answer is very simple. Because as you and I know, and I could say this personally, what makes me a good citizen is not because I'm a lawyer or I've read the law. I know, because honestly, even you, attorney, I'm sure you haven't read all the laws.
Yes.
But what makes me a good citizen is my faith, and not just because I'm Catholic. I may be of another Christian denomination. But the point is, they meddle because the church, they know the value of preserving something that has a practical sociological implication on society.
Now, Congressman Woman,
I think it's
that's the point that we're driving at.
putting divorce in a very overrated assessment. If you reduce the situation of other countries and factoring in divorce as one of the factors, I think it's so overrated. For me, at this point in time, the reality should be addressed really. We know for a fact, for example, that the number one problem of our country is poverty, no? Because of the existing policies. And these affect marriages, these affect families. So when this affect families, we should really go into the reasons or on its impact on families. And as I have mentioned, we've talked to relationships that are abusive to women already because of the so many economic and political issues and cultural issues that corrode also the values. Why not recognize? Why not recognize a remedy that will not stigmatize them?
Yeah.
That even the government, even the people will say that, okay, we can end your relationship because you are into an abusive relationship. We recognize that and we welcome that. For me, that's a very fluid and smooth transition rather than having stigmatized.
Congresswoman, how about the argument regarding preserving the marriage for the sake of the children? Narinig natin yan, di ba?
Ay, of
Parati natin
course.
narinig yan.
Of course,
For the
oo.
sake of the children, I know there's been some abuses between the husband and the wife. However, let's think of not just the husband and wife, let's think of the children. What about that argument against divorce?
Actually, women whom I have talked to who are advocates also of recognizing irreparable marriages and getting out of that irreparable marriages, they think that the more you maintain that kind of relationship is more detrimental to the psychology and the all the future of the children.
Okay, now, Attorney James, the argument of Congresswoman Emmy is that, you know, if you keep that marriage, it'll be worse for the children. You know, and I can see where she's coming from. But on your end, do you think that preserving a marriage, an abusive marriage, just for the sake of the children, do you think that's kind of stretching it?
No, the answer is no. Simply because I remember we have other laws that deal with situations, very specific situations. So, for example,
Or protect against abuse, you mean?
yes, so you can get temporary protection. Or just the point is, we know this, and I'm sure
Yeah.
Congresswoman pushed for this.
Anti-vowsy
Yes, and
1962.
that's a very good law. But the point is this, okay? There is a problem about husband and wife fighting. The wife is abused, okay? To put in a remedy that destroys the institution that holds not only the bond but also the future of the children. Now we have to weigh. If it is all about the children seeing the father slapping the mother, get your TPO. The point is this: we have other remedies in law such that we can still preserve the intention of the Constitution. The Constitution doesn't say if you are beaten by your husband, I'm sorry, but we have to preserve. No, just as you said, Congresswoman. So the point is this: we have to be very, very careful. What is it? What remedy are we giving to the wife or to the husband? But we have to see how other countries have already seen this experience with
Yeah,
regard
So
to
should we kill the
Limbo.
institution? Should we kill the institution because of an abusive party in a
Why
contract?
not? Why not? Why not? Why suffer or why maintain an institution that perpetuates violence? If there is an abusive relationship,
Yeah.
can you imagine seeing your father slapping your mother, and then you will say that you just avail of the anti-vowsy. But if it is already habitual, and even one slap, I think,
Yes.
will impact the child. And of course, as I have mentioned, we are pushing for a no-fault divorce bill. Meaning you really have to study, go to the court, and there should even be an intervention. Meaning
Meaning an attempt to reconcile them.
to reconcile or give or hear both sides and really study this, no? This is in respect also and in recognition of how we uphold families. But of course, if there is already the dead end, then why not?
Yeah. So, Attorney Imbong, Attorney James, I mean, in this situation, as mentioned by Congresswoman Emmy, when the institution itself provides kind of a safe haven or haven for the abuser, do you think that divorce should be considered, considering yun nga, because it seems that the institution is now providing the protection for the abuser to continue his abuses? Do you think that
no, that's not true. Precisely because we have laws, and I'm not just talking about the vows, you know. We have other RPC crimes that apply also to domestic violence. My point is this, no? If you provide a remedy that will be available to anyone, but they have to comply, just the thought that there is a remedy that would allow them to easily dissolve the marriage, that already imperils the foundation of the
itself.
family and the inviolability. It's like, 10 seconds, it's like, in the circus when they do the tightrope, they won't do that if there's no net
safety net.
under. So they know there's a safety net, they're going to be reckless.
Congresswoman Emmy, I have to take a short break. Please stay with us and don't go away. You are watching Opposing Views. We'll be right back. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views on the Solar News Channel. I'm Rod Nepomuceno, and we're debating tonight about the legalization of divorce in the Philippines. And our guests for this evening are Representative Emmy De Jesus of the Gabriela party list and Attorney James Imbong, family lawyer. Now, just before the break, Attorney Imbong was making a point, Congresswoman Emmy, that if you basically, if you have divorce, you're effectively trivializing the institution of marriage. You're providing a safety net, just like in the circus. No, you have trapeze artists, and they will not do it unless there's a safety net. In this case, you're providing, in a way, that safety net, and therefore people will just be reckless in entering into this institution. Your thoughts?
I think before entering into a marriage, an individual really thinks about it. So,
regardless if there's divorce or not.
Yeah, regardless of there's divorce or not. And I think we should not underestimate also our culture that we uphold, again, I am again saying this, that the factors, no, you have the love, you have the support, and all that should matter. And if you think that those are not, again, inside the relationship, why not have the right to get out of that contract? We're just talking here of a contract, and which is recognized, and we think that this should be responsibly used. I think before entering a marriage, we use our intelligence, our emotions.
Okay, take
and
off
then
from
we
that,
want to get out.
Take out from that point, no?
Use our intelligence and emotions.
Yes. Taking out from that point of Congresswoman Emmy, Attorney James, some things don't really work out in life, whether in life or in law. And it happens in contracts. Sometimes even multinational companies enter into the big contracts, multi-billion contracts. Things don't work out, and they end up divorcing in a way. Well, I'm using that in a loose sense. Congresswoman Emmy pointed out that this is a contract, and therefore the party should be able to dissolve that contract. So your thoughts on that? You know, if they have irreconcilable differences, they should be able to.
Attorney. Yeah, the answer there is very simple, no? And this is my chance to correct the honorable Congresswoman. Marriage is not only a contract. The Constitution did not stop there. In fact, the Family Code mentions that it is a special contract. So what does this mean? The state has an interest. The state recognizes the abuses. It has laws to counter that. But nonetheless, because the state is a stakeholder in the foundation. Oh, by the way, I'm sorry. If we will backtrack, the family is the foundation of the nation. Marriage is the foundation of the family. So when you destroy the institution of marriage, you weaken the family and you produce future citizens who have no strong foundational standpoint on how to be good citizens. And as we know now, other than the family, where will you place your children? In front of the television, media?
Actually, attorney, we have now families without the benefit of marriage. How do you appreciate that? We should also recognize that, and there are single parents, no? And don't you think we should also call them families because a single parent with the support of his or her mother or other relatives, I think we should also appreciate that as families because these are the realities of
recognize them as families. No?
As families, you just don't label things dogmatically, but I think realistically at this point in time, again, we have so many families that are, existing harmoniously even without the benefit of marriage. That's why you don't say that the state upholds family. Marriage is the foundation of family. And without the marriage or dissolving a marriage will break down a family. I don't think that's the end all of family, no?
Okay, now when it comes to, let's go to the cases of abuses and adultery. Your Congresswoman Emmy, you're espousing divorce on these grounds, abuses and adultery?
In our bill, attorney, we carry on the amendment to the title of title number 2. All the reasons for legal separation are carried, meaning abusive relationship, the homosexual, whatever, the gender change in the partner, the 5-year de facto separation, and all that, no? So there should be basis. I think the bottom line is there should be basis, and this basis should be studied by the court. So you really would be going through a process. That's why this what makes the bill different from the existing laws of other countries.
Okay. Now, Attorney James, there are situations in a marriage. Let's face it, the current law that we have, annulment, for example, it talks about a defect during the time of marriage. But there are situations, as pointed out by by Congresswoman Emmy, that there are changes during the marriage. Abuses and adultery are two of those changes that happen during the marriage. It didn't happen at the time of marriage. And so, and that's the reason why, and those are the two grounds that are justifying divorce. So, your thoughts on that? Because there are things talaga that happen during the marriage, and therefore, don't you think it's kind of unfair to let the woman get stuck in that marriage on account of this post-marriage circumstances?
Yeah, the best way to answer that is, for example, how many people suffer health or accidents from the things we use every day, cars or crossing the street, whatever. But we don't ban cars. What do? We put extra safety nets, more airbags. We have rules, speed limits, and all these. Despite the fact that we know that people die, now I'm not saying that's a good analogy here, but the point is this: we know we value these certain things or institutions such that if there are any negative effects or implications on its use, we work around it. We don't destroy the thing that gives value. The family gives value. At the end of the day, it will be a source of all the values that the children learn. Children, even parents, remember there will be future parents. So if you have a child from a divorced family, most probably, unless they get the best counsel from their guardian, they will think that commitment is there's nothing such as commitment because they'll be divorced.
Bong, I think you don't just reduce getting good values into marriage. And you should define what marriage should be. Marriage should be grounded on the basic premise of a good relationship, no? There should be love. There should be respect. There should be support. You just don't take marriage as a label.
As a concept.
No? As a concept.
Rather.
It should be dynamic.
All right.
It should be dynamic. So when you say marriage, it should be healthy. It should have all the good factors that make a healthy relationship.
Right. All right, need to cut you short again, Congresswoman Emmy. We need to take a short break. When we return, the result of our online poll and the final words of our guests. Please stay with us. This is Opposing Views. Welcome back. You're still watching Opposing Views on the Solar News Channel. Our guest for tonight, Representative Emmy De Jesus of the Gabriela Party List and Attorney James Imbong. And our question for this evening, should divorce be legalized in the Philippines? Now, Congresswoman Emmy, we already have, as we mentioned earlier, we already have the law on annulment.
Yeah.
There's declaration of nullity and, of course, annulment, and also legal separation. Do we really need another law that will, I guess, impact on the institution of marriage?
With legal separation, you don't sever the marriage. So how can somebody who would want to move on and again welcome another relationship, another chance, he or she cannot do that. But with divorce, because marriage is severed, it's ended, so she can decide or he can decide. With declaration of nullity, no, of a void marriage, I think it's easier, no? Kasi all the reasons naman, without the requirement of a marriage, it's easier to declare nullity. With the annulment, for us, Article 36 of the Family Code, it's some kind of circuitous, and again, you do not recognize that a marriage can start in a very good and harmonious way, but something happened along the way. Because in the annulment, you should recognize that psychological incapacity happened or was already recognized at the moment of the celebration of the marriage. So I think it's unfair, no? We should also recognize marriages that
dissolve during.
Yeah,
breakdown during.
That was happy in the first years, but something happened.
Okay.
So I think
Attorney James,
divorce is a choice.
Yeah. Attorney James, legal separation, as we know, doesn't provide the parties to remarry again. Annulment naman, you have to prove that there was a defect at the start. So there's something in the middle, no, that you know, marriages that break down during the marriage itself. Do you think we need divorce on that basis? No.
The bottom line is this. Well, the answer first of all is no. There must be something about the divorce bill that's different from these. And Congresswoman mentioned that. And she mentioned that the other remedies are very circuitous. No? And let me just say that if there's one difference between this move to have divorce, is that it will avoid the circuitous remedies already. In other words, it will make it easier for parties. Of course, they will go through the process. They have to prove that they've been separated, in fact, for 5 years, imagine. Separated, in fact, only for 5 years. You can be divorced. Imagine the effect it will have on our OFW families. But the point is this. You're making it easier for the institution of marriage to be dissolved. How can you square that with the direct obligation of the state to preserve the inviolability of the marriage simply because, not because of religious or theological reasons, but because the Constitution itself says that it is the foundation of the family, and the family is the foundation, again, of the nation.
Congresswoman?
Again, I don't want to be embroiled or limited by labels. No?
Yeah.
I think we should really appreciate things as they are now, no?
The realities that we have.
Realities, relationship is dynamic. The situations differ. So with that, I think the state should also be open to changes and recognize what rights should be upheld and recognize that these rights should be, I'm lost for words. This right should be
established.
Yeah.
Correct. Now, Attorney Imbong, the fact is there are a lot of the cases of annulment are increasing every year. I think, and one of the critiques of the family code is that annulment is an expensive process. And there are people who are arguing that with divorce, because I guess it's easier to prove, it should be a cheaper process, and therefore, from an economic standpoint, we should provide this option. Your thoughts on that?
Well, then that works in favor of our argument, because to cheapen the process of dissolving a marriage, to give easier grounds, this vocabulary only points to the fact that it makes it easier. You want to make it easier for Filipino couples, for Filipino married couples to dissolve their marriage. And I can say this because I used to work with the Office of the Solicitor General. And when day in, day out, these cases are brought up to us. And I can say that most of the cases on annulment are about Article 36 on psychological incapacity.
Most of
So if you notice, you really have to prove that there is some psychological defect on one of the parties. And why does the state do this? Again, because there is a value given by the state as a stakeholder for having being the foundation of the nation. It has a stake, so it has to go to this, such that if you make it easier, the state is actually giving away on that on the value that it gives on marriage.
But again, I think the psychological incapacity is again recognized by the law as happening during the time of celebration. I think that's so unfair, no? Kasi you can be happy for the first years, eh.
And you don't know the defect at the time, no?
Yes.
All right, we have a couple of minutes left. Congresswoman Emmy, would you like to give us your parting words on this issue, on this topic?
For Gabriela Women's Party, pushing for legislation is, for us, is a venue, no, to raise the consciousness of our people, the public, on the issue of what marriage should be. And when we say what marriage should be, we should also recognize what's the realities, the whole structure of our society now. We should consider the economic, political, and cultural changes that we have now. And pushing for a remedy, legal remedy to an abusive or irreparable marriage, for us should be given and should be provided for those who are in need. And if you are into a happy relationship, you don't have to use this.
Just like you are.
Of course.
All right. Thank you very much, Congresswoman Emmy.
Thank you, Attorney.
James Imbong, your final words?
Yes, I'll just repeat what I mentioned in my opening statement. There are things that we can borrow or adopt from other countries because it's advanced or something. But when it comes to policies that have a very deep implication, not only on technology, but on our values. Imagine we're the only country left, and there must be a reason why we value marriage. In fact, let me just say that calm seas don't make a good sailor. You know, what I'm saying is, that the best counselors, marriage counselors that you have now, and as a family lawyer, I refer to them when I mediate between couples. These are the couples who have chosen to fight it out and work it out. If you make it easy for marriages to be dissolved through divorce, you're actually weakening the institution itself, which the state already values.
All right. So thank you very much. Thank you to our guests, of course, Representative Emmy De Jesus of the Gabriela Party List, and Attorney James Imbong, one of the renowned family lawyers. Now let's see the result of our online poll on the issue. Our question: should divorce be legalized in the Philippines? Those who answered no, 60%. Those who answered yes, 40%. And that's our opposing views for tonight. Tune in again next week for another bold and engaging discussion on today's most relevant issues. I'm Rod Nepomuceno. Good night and God bless.